Imagine a world that deserves our best, where we get up each day knowing that we can make a difference. You don't imagine yesterday, you imagine tomorrow. Imagine a world without polio. Imagine a world with clean water for everyone. Imagine a world free of disease. A world where every child learns to read. Imagine kindness and hope and love and peace. And that's, my dear friends, what our theme is Imagine Rotary. Imagina
What's your dad?
Rotary. Imaginons le Rotary. Imagina I Rotary. Imagine Rotary. Sang sang hara Rotary. Imagina u Rotary. Shang shang fulon. I hope that it's meaningful in all of our languages.
And that is our new elected president of Rotary for 2022-2023, and that's the theme for the upcoming year, which is Imagine Rotary. And here we are imagining the San Dimas Rotary, and I want to welcome you. We've got all kinds of good stuff going on. Later, we will give a recap of the teacher mini grants, which we gave out last week. That'll come up later in the meeting. It was a fantastic night. We had 27 participants, including the mayor, a city councilman, the superintendent of schools, a couple of principals, all the awardees. And I know that the checks are starting to arrive, except for one apparently. The state senate also put out certificates of appreciation, which they were hand delivered yesterday. And this week, starting on Saturday, is the food drive. Last year we raised 2 tons of food. This year our goal was 4 tons of food for the Marine Corps food pantry at 29 Palms. We already have a ton of food on storage, and we're going to pick up at least another ton over the next 2 days through volunteers, and hopefully on Saturday we'll get 2 more tons. We'll make that goal, and on Monday we'll be going out to 29 Palms to make that delivery. We've got 5 American Legion posts, 3 Masonic lodges, the San Dimas Rotary, and a variety of other civic organizations working with us. It's very, very successful. So hey, let's go on to the meeting and do it first with introductions, starting with Rotary Rotarians. My name is Raymond. I am the president for this year and next. And Steve, you are the president-elect for 2023-2024. How's that feel?
You're just going to keep sliding that in there, aren't you?
Introduce yourself, buddy.
Well, for now, my name still is Steve. I am the current secretary of the club. I've been a Rotarian for about 12 years now, and I am a State Farm agent in San Dimas.
Excellent. Hey, Mike, how about you?
Hey, everyone. Steve, feel free to change your name as long as you remain as president-elect. My name is Mike Wallace. I'm the president of Better Home Financial downtown. We're a mortgage brokerage. I've been here with the Rotary coming up on 7 years, past president, past treasurer, and I am happy to be here serving the community with my fellow Rotarians.
And Mary Ann, please introduce yourself. Mary Ann. Okay, let's go to Diva. Diva, hit that unmute button and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Diva Alfaro. I've been a Rotarian for a little over 3 years or maybe 4 years now. I lost count. And I'll do whatever they ask me to do. So I'm willing to help out wherever they need me. And I am a licensed reverse mortgage specialist.
Excellent. So we have quite a few visitors, or several visitors today. First, revisiting club, Justin Leewood. Justin, thank you for coming back. We appreciate you coming here. Say hello and tell everybody what you do and who you are. Oh my goodness. All right, well, let's go to Brandon. Brandon Moon is also a guest.
Hello, Brandon Moon, visiting, hopefully become a member here in the near future. I am a San Dimas resident. I work for B&K Electric Wholesale, and I am a territory sales manager.
Now, Brandon, I understand you have a relative who's a Rotarian.
That is correct. My mother-in-law, Kathy Ellison, is a Rotarian of the Arcadia chapter.
Excellent. Brandon is seriously considering joining our club, and we would welcome you. And so hang on, we're going to have a great meeting. And we have two other visitors up in the corner, and I will take Wayne and Pat Schmidt to block. Introduce yourselves.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Pat Schmidt, wife of Wayne Schmidt, mother of Tony Chiappetta, Anthony Chiappetta.
My name is Wayne Schmidt. I am the senior warden with San Dimas Masonic Lodge. I'm also a commissioner with the Police Oversight Commission, City of Pomona.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here to support Tony. I know he's going to need the support today. I'm excited to hear from him. So I'm just going to hand it over to you, Tony. And why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and what's important for us?
All right. Thanks, Ryan. And thanks everybody for having me. My name is Tony Chiappetta. I'm the son of Pat and Wayne. And for the past 20 years, I founded and have been running Advanced Microcomputing. We go by AMC Modern IT. And over that time, I've kind of gained an interesting perspective on why we have so many security issues in this day and age, why IT is really big and impacted by this great resignation thing where people are just quitting their jobs because of the burnout that's involved with our industry, and what we can do to turn it around and make it so that that everybody can hit on what our mission is to make people more productive at work so that they can get more out of their lives and have more time to do things like be a Rotarian. So, Saray, do you want me to just jump into and just
jump in?
Just go in. Okay, I'm gonna. Is it possible to share a screen or share my a PowerPoint deck that I've got? And
absolutely, go ahead.
Outstanding. Here we go. And share and I'm gonna probably go kind of quickly on this one, and I might sound a little bit like a chipmunk, but I'm gonna just kind of share how we went from being a reactive, dealing with security issues, into innovating and really look at it from a higher level than typically we do in the day-to-day. And so my PowerPoint skills will probably leave something to be desired, but I welcome your feedback, and hopefully you can tell me where I can improve. But this is the story of IT, and it's a romance story for nerds. So I'm going to start with the humble beginnings of IT. It started with the mainframe, and IT worked with the business hand in hand with the business managers, where they talked to IT and they said, I need a report, I need a new field in this form. Can you help me get this? And there was this open communication between IT and the business, and IT was center stage for helping the business get the information it needed to make better decisions. And that's because it's called information technology. It was technology to make information more readily available. And I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember the mainframe, but there's a really grainy picture of it. And feel free to chime in all the way throughout my presentation. But that was our glory years. We were here to make life better than using a pen and paper, and became invaluable to the organization. And believe it or not, people loved us in IT. We weren't just some bane of existence, necessary evil. But I guess it's kind of like, what happened to us? How did we get to this place where it's like, oh, the server's down, the network's down, I got my stuff hijacked and ransomware? It kind of started with the Windows Server, guys, back in 1996, and it was wonderful because the Windows Server, it gave us this place to centrally store our files and our information. But then in 1997, things changed. We got something called the internet, and there's a screenshot of what Yahoo and MSN looked like, because our resolution was literally less than what we have on our phones. Just a quick throwback with our 56K modems. But as we got internet and this World Wide Web, we found out people were getting access to our servers and our information. So in IT, we had to come to the rescue and say, we need to put a firewall in place to protect our cool new servers from hackers on the internet, because we loved having the internet and we loved having the server, but we had to adjust. And then something amazing happened with email. It came into effect, and it revolutionized communications. We didn't have to fax anymore. We could send freely messages back and forth in real time over this information superhighway. But along with that came viruses. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of like worms or different things that would come in back in the early 2000s and infect an entire corporate network. But no problem. We figured out how to get antivirus software on all computers. We're IT. We fix stuff. We come to solutions. So that was great. But then we started realizing we were getting really amazing offers from Russian brides or from Nigerian princes, but it was impacting our productivity. And so we needed to have a solution to stop all the spam email. No problem, we're IT. We figure a way, and we stop the spam from coming in by having a spam filter and email security. Then as we started getting wireless, and guys, jump in and correct me if your view and memory of history is different than this, but as I got a wireless device, and I was with the original cutting of the cord, and I could move around the conference room, it was freeing and it was liberating because I can go and I can take my laptop with me into meetings, but then I wanted to take it home. And so I needed this technology to be able to come in and get access to my files and my email. So no problem, IT came in, we created a VPN. Everybody know what a VPN is? Everybody have experience with a VPN?
No.
A virtual private network
private network.
There you go. Thank you, Brandon. Back me up. I appreciate that. It allows you to connect remotely over the internet to get access to your files when you're at home, because I took my new mobile device home with me. I needed to get access to my files that were on the server behind our corporate firewall. So a VPN allowed me to do that, and it was great, but it was a little slow. But I found as I moved my devices over and outside of the corporate network, I needed a way to manage them. And so I added this really cool mobile device management technology, and it solved a need. We just had another tool that we had to manage, and I can take care of our company computers no matter where we're at. Then something called ransomware came into effect. Everybody know what ransomware is? Has anybody heard of ransomware?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing what that is? Put you on the spot.
Somebody takes control of your computer and demands you pay.
100%. The bad guys find a way to get to our file server. They encrypt all the data, and then they say, if you want your data back, you have to pay a ransom. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is come up with a way to back up all the data on your servers and then send it off site so the bad guys couldn't get to it. No problem, we're IT, and although that's costly, we had a way to solve that problem. We just have to check those backups every day. And as time goes on, there's compliance requirements. If you're dealing with healthcare, or if you live in California, you have to make sure that your disks are encrypted. No problem. For IT, we're going to add this disk encryption software onto your computer, and it's probably going to slow it down a little bit, but you are going to meet compliance. And so we got you covered. And then we found out that you can't send personal information over email, so it has to be encrypted. So no problem, we're IT. We're going to throw another tool in there called data loss prevention, and we're going to automatically encrypt your email. And so you see what's happening. We're literally getting to a spot where we have to add another tool now for multi-factor authentication. And don't forget, we have to manage identities too, because we don't want your identity and your username and password to be compromised, because that's how the bad guys just get in. And so do you guys see my screen, how we started with this nice little Windows server, and we ended up with this smattering of different crap that some of it doesn't even make sense, but
we need them.
What's that, Marianne?
We need them.
Yeah, we need these tools to protect that Windows server, and that's really what killed us back in 2016. I had this really cool checklist that I would take to people and be like, here's 15 things that you need to have. Oh, and don't forget at the very bottom, because they might fail, you still need cyber liability insurance. So make sure you have that, because I can't give you 100% protection. I never can, because we can't promise that. And so, but that's what really got to us. That became our demise in IT. We put all of our time into securing and maintaining stuff, and we went from focusing on the business to trying not to disrupt the business with a hack or an issue that came up. And the business started wondering, like, Tony, what are you doing? You're gone. You're working 24/7. But we have no idea. In fact, it just seems like you're kind of a pain in the butt, because you're telling me I need to run this update, or I need to take your computer and your system offline to put a new software on, but I don't use the software. The encryption thing doesn't help me. And my job turned into how to make it so that all these tools don't suck. Like, I got to make sure my encryption software doesn't interact with my antivirus software and cause a blue screen that takes you down. And that became my existence, is just managing all of these tools. And people would still click on something that came from a bad guy that made it seem like the CEO sent an email to the CFO saying, please order all these Sephora business gift cards. And the CEO would say, okay, if you're telling me, and no matter what I put my time into, something always gets by. And so, this is what led to IT guy burnout. we'd be working till 2 a.m. trying to make sure the backup server is up to date and that we have our information. And we just lost touch with what the business cared about, and so the business, in fact, would take their time and say, well, if IT is always busy, I'm going to start, I need tools. I need to start innovating. The VPN connection to my files is slow, so I'm going to add Dropbox. And then they started saying, it's really nice to be able to access my files and work on them together. So I'm going to start using this thing called Google Docs. And then they started saying, I need a phone system. So I'm going to add a Ring Central or a Dialpad or a Mitel and have a phone system because IT's busy and I need to have a system, and it's really easy to use that, and it's a cloud-based system. And I'm going to start using Zoom for meetings. I need to talk to people. And by the way, I want to do a little bit of project management and organize my tasks. So I'm going to add Trello, or I want to start doing surveys. So I'll add another tool, and I want to be able to chat with people. Has everybody here heard of Slack? It's a really nice, innovative tool that allows you to chat with everybody in your organization and have teams where you work with people, and remotely you can have really fast, effective communication. So people started adding that as well. And then they want to be able to have business intelligence like we used to in the old days. So they'll create a dashboarding software and allow that. And by the way, don't forget, we still need Office. And so the business started doing the same thing where they're adding a bunch of different tools. And IT is kind of on the sidelines because they're taking care of all the security stuff. And the business is moving in a whole different direction because they don't, IT doesn't have time for them. And so then we get caught up as IT and saying, hey, now we have to take care of this stuff and the data is elsewhere. We can't protect it. And we created a name called Shadow IT to call people in the organization that want to get their job done. And they start getting tools because we don't have time. And it just became a mess. The business started experiencing the same sprawl as IT did. And we got to this environment where there's just challenge, there's complexity, there's so many different tools. There's no synergy because these tools weren't, there's some integration, but they aren't designed to work together. Whether it's security tools or business tools, they start creating conflictions with each other. They cost more. And we can't, as IT, secure and maintain them because we actually don't have access to the business tools. And we're so busy dealing with this old legacy stuff that it leads to burnout for us as IT. It leaves staff with the ability, as your IT person, I can't train you how to use all of these different tools that you have on the business side either. And it's just disconnected us, and it created more security vulnerabilities, more issues. And that's really the nature of the majority of businesses that are out there. We've just solved problems as they've come up, whether it was, an email security solution or a spam filter, or the need to be able to access documents when we're at home or and have meetings like we're having now and use Zoom. And that really, guys, is at the source of why we have so many problems and why we have so much ransomware and why it's a $5 trillion industry. It's not the software, it's our fixing of things and patching of things and not having a complete solution. And so it started with this Windows Server in 1996. And it's kind of like, what happened, Microsoft? Like, I pledged my entire career towards you and you led me astray. What do we do here to turn this around from reacting with tools and different business software and getting back to our glory years? Remember, like where people loved us in IT and we're not having security issues. We're actually becoming invaluable to the organization again. How do we get back to innovating instead of just taking care of stuff? And let's start by defining innovation. It's three things. It's improving process. Maybe we automate something so that people don't have to spend a bunch of time filling out a box over and over and over again and being prone to human error, and making it so that they can focus on other things because we use automation. The second bucket of innovation, it's improving the employee experience, making it a better place to work, and making it so people are they're tighter knit and they're doing things because they're working as a team in better ways than they could before. And the third bucket we have for innovation, it's the ability to improve decision making. It's using information technology to improve our ability, having a dashboard that tells me our sales activity, our financial activity, our reporting activity in a manner that allows us to make decisions as an organization that improve the organization for its people, for its clients, and for the business itself. And so as we look at innovation, And what we want to get back to as IT, instead of taking care of tools, there's 3 rules that we created. This is how we dig our way back. It's have less stuff is number 1. Consolidate to as few vendors as possible. It's use services instead of servers. Instead of having that file server, use a file service. You don't have to maintain that file server and update it and get a new server and lifecycle and patch it and maintain it and secure it and power and cool it when you have a service that does all that for you. And then our 3rd rule, and I know this is crazy in this day and age, but actually train people how to use this stuff. Has anybody here had formal training on how to use Zoom?
No.
Right? I'm pretty sure there's something inside this application that if I had training, that would be that put me in a spot where it's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I'm going to use that every day. But we're just kind of using, we're learning as we go, and we're learning. So that's our 3rd rule: train people to actually use that stuff. And so as we look at our Windows Server and Microsoft, it turns out Microsoft actually saw this coming. And they started realizing back in 2014 when Satya Nadella came into that this is a problem. And fitting, we're fitting as IT, you know, what we do, it's like a square peg in a round hole. People's security is a lot different. You know, security as a whole is a lot different than it was in 96. The way people work is a lot different than it was in 1996. And so coming up with a better way to do that, Microsoft said, okay, let's start using these cloud-based services, and let's start by moving our email to Microsoft's 365. And that's where most people do. They move their email and their security to one platform. And this is our way of doing it. And I know that I can come across a little bit of a Microsoft homer, but this is where I started with this Microsoft server. And this is what I'm going to share with you, what they're recommending you do to get out of this current situation. And there's other ways to do it, but this is what I found. I'm just going to share openly with what I found. So move these different tools to Microsoft 365. Get your email out of here. Get your spam filter out of here. Encryption's included. Move the security of that server, that database of all the users and who can access the finance drive, to their cloud services and their endpoint manager. Get rid of that Active Directory server that we have, that file server. That includes Duo and multi-factor authentication. That's all part of that one service. So we can start removing that identity management solution, that third-party solution, and use what comes with Microsoft 365 already. People just don't know it's there for the taking. We start realizing it can do the disk encryption software just with the same plan that you probably already have if you use Microsoft 365. Move your files out of the file server, out of Box, out of Dropbox, into Teams. It's part of Microsoft 365. It's there. It's the world's most sophisticated file server. That's the most secure file server on the planet. People just don't know it's there, and to use it, they just haven't been trained. And if you do that, then you don't need VPNs anymore. You're completely protected, not just from ransomware, but from extortionware. That's where the bad guys get your information and say, all right, I know you can back up or recover from backup, but now to hold you, I'm going to extort you to say, I'm going to leak this private information. Well, we can prevent that by applying security capabilities within Microsoft 365 so that that data can never leave your organization. No matter where it goes, you can protect it. Even if it's on a thumb drive and somebody sticks it in, they wouldn't be able to open it without authorization from Microsoft 365. So way better security, and it works, and that's just like the server does. So great, that means we can get rid of firewalls and backup servers. Those are out of here. DL, that software that makes sure that we don't leak data, that's included as well. You just need to turn it on. And so we're moving and shaking. It's like, okay, well, the firewall, if I'm working from Starbucks or if I'm working from home, does that corporate firewall really do anything for me when it's sitting here protecting the office? It does not. So Microsoft says, move all that corporate firewall hardware, use artificial intelligence, move it so it protects your devices, your data, your identity, no matter where you are. And so as we move forward, oops, I'm going the wrong direction. We see that we're just left with computers and Microsoft 365. And if you throw in the phone system that's included with Microsoft 365, you have one solution, one stack. That means that you can literally work from anywhere, no matter where you are. And all this stuff is actually, it's part of the solution too. If you just know where to look and how to set it up, all of these things are included in one spot. And so now you have it. We have less stuff. And so that's the strategy. That's what gets us out of this taking care of stuff. Let AI protect us. Let's let machine learning and manage behaviors of systems to detect things instead of us having to worry about it, stay up late. We're not going to be upgrading servers. We're going to be turning our focus instead to upgrading people. Once you have one platform, now we can train our IT department, and we can train the people on how to use this stuff. And when you get a chance to hear people say, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I didn't know I could do that," or "Oh, that's going to save me so much time." We're getting back to being a part of the business in IT and not messing with security issues, but rather helping you do more stuff at work so that you could spend more time doing events and being Rotarians and affecting the community and getting true fulfillment out of life. And so, awesome. What else can we do to innovate? The stack's complete with Microsoft platform to get into the automation events and the business intelligence capabilities that allow us to see dashboards of data so that we can make better decisions. And we hit basically our 3 buckets of innovation, right? Where we can improve and automate and improve business processes through that automation. We can improve the employee experience by showing them how to use this stuff and work from anywhere, be at their kids' t-ball game or soccer game, and still send that email out with that document or collaborate on it real quick if they need to, and have the ability to create dashboards for improving decision making for organizations so that they can get to where they want to go and hit their goals as an organization, and really take us back from fixing servers and dealing with spyware by having that less stuff and doing more with it. And so that's really, at the end of the day, I hope that helps you understand, what got us to this point of all these security issues is because we were trying to fix things piece by piece. And what stops us from being our most productive selves is having this sprawl of different tools that piece by piece solve things. And as you take a step back and look at things from that perspective and follow our 3 rules of having less stuff and doing more with it, and then training people, is what's going to allow you to get out of the security game of IT and out of the maintenance game and the operation game of IT, and end up being able to have a better existence as we work so hard every day, being able to have time carved out to do things that are important to us. So that's it. This is the time for IT, and our company, we offer free training for all of our clients. Everybody's welcome to come to it. Just wanted to throw that out there as all are welcome. People that do have curiosity, that want to learn, we are here, and every Tuesday at 10 a.m. we've got a training on how to use the Microsoft platform, starting with Teams. But that's all I had, guys. That's what I wanted to share, and I appreciate you guys making the time for me today to learn about how to get out of IT security issues and into having more time for being Rotarians.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. Any questions? I know there got to be some questions there.
I have one question. What kind of headset are you on right now?
This is a Jabra Evolve headset, Jabra Evolve 2. It's purpose built for Teams. It's got a button here, so when there's a Teams meeting, I just push a button, it automatically pops up. And if I want to end a Teams call, I just hit a button. It's got noise reduction in my headset, so if I'm in a bullpen area or on an airplane, I only hear my conversation. And this boom has about 17 different microphones that focus only on my voice. And even if there's construction going on in the background, you won't hear that. You'll just hear me. And when I got to mute,
Wow. But you're saying that's only good for Teams.
It works for Zoom. It just does more with Teams.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I can shoot you a link if you like, Diva.
Yes, please.
To Amazon.
Excellent. Other questions? I have one question for you.
Really,
You talked to the go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say not really a question, but just a comment. I thank you very much for the presentation. And these are questions that I've had in the back of my mind for a very long time that I had no idea. But it makes perfect sense the way you broke it down. And I'm a small business, have an on-site server, and it just, the frustration of oh, I updated this computer and now none of this works. And getting everything to line up. And it's like, I'm tearing my hair out thinking it really shouldn't, just doing an update of a software shouldn't break all these links and, have to rebuild all this stuff. So it's interesting to kind of peel back the curtain and see, what's behind everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. And from an IT perspective, we're working so hard to just create frustration, where I see why so many people in our industry just quit to find themselves, to realize what they want to do to get into it, because it's been putting a square peg in a round hole. What we've been doing for the past 20 years it's not in line with how we want to work in today's security landscape. And so thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. It was a very interesting presentation, and it reminded me I developed a rule about a decade ago when I had an IT problem. Rather than trying to figure it out, I just went, Bill Gates has already figured this out. What would he do? And then go right to the Microsoft forum or find and there was always a solution rather than trying to bang my head against figure this out. My question was, you talked about security in a hardware software kind of paradigm. What about social engineering? Do you cover that with your clients?
Yeah, so training and helping people understand the threats that are out there is, as IT, we're so focused on hardware instead of having these conversations, human to human interaction, where I show you what to look out for. So that's number one. But there's such sophisticated artificial intelligence around that now, right? Where we can detect using the computers and get really, 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 really good where 109s of the stuff is filtered out, but there's always that one, right? And that's where showing people what to do. And then, having the security as well, where you click something, well, first it goes to Microsoft, it gets scanned to make sure it's not nefarious, and then it passes you through. Helps you out with that. So we could put all the tools in place, and that's all part of that ecosystem, because the 9 of us on this call are not the only ones that deal with this issue. There's a solution for it, but you still have to have the time to talk about it and to share what to look out for.
The LA County once a month or every other month sends out an email to employees, and it is a spyware email, and it's obviously a spyware email. And if you click on it, then you get talked to by your supervisor about not clicking on spyware email because it's generated by the organization to test the employees. So training is obviously very important. Hey, thank you so much for the presentation, Tony. We've got about 14 minutes left. We've got to cover the rest of the meeting, so we're going to dive right into that. The next thing up is the fine master. He is not here today, but we're not going to skip fines. In Rotary, one of the ways that we generate all the money for the things that we do is we fine each other. And in our club, it is I'm fine, you're fine, or this is not fine. If you're going to say something that's great or that's happened to you that's great, it doesn't cost very much. But if you're going to get on a soapbox and talk about something negative, well, you better bring some money to the table. Who's got a fine for us? Mike, you've always got a fine.
I do, actually. I am going to fine myself $10 today because anybody who has been outside or has checked their weather app can see that this weekend is going to feel like a nice spring, early summer weekend, and I am extremely excited about that, to get some shorts on and get in the backyard, jump in the pool. So yeah, I'm going to find myself $10 because we're getting into at least a little glimpse of the weather that I really like.
Excellent. $10 on Mike. Who else is coming up with a fine?
I will fine myself $10 because, unlike Mike, I'm not going to care what the weather's like this weekend. I'll be in Vegas. I'll never see outside. So I might as well find myself now before I lose it all this weekend.
I was going to say, would you go in there and put $10 down? Put that $10 down on, what are you going to play, craps?
That will be the majority of what I play, yes.
Why don't you make a $10 bet for the Rotary Club and see what happens?
Tell me what to bet. Hardway 8, hardway 6.
What do you think? What do we got?
Pass line, come bet.
Pass line. That's one of my favorites.
So we're literally gambling with Rotary money now. All right. It's a good thing Barb is not on the.
Yeah, we probably should have stopped recording before we agreed to that.
What could go wrong?
Clarify, I had no part in any of that.
Okay, well, I guess we'll move off fines. We made $20, maybe more. Hey, so a couple things. Action 360, that's the part where we talk about what we've got going on in the community. First is our board meeting is on February 16th at 12 noon instead of a regular meeting. And we've got quite a few things to go over, so please be there. Teacher mini grant recap. That was a great meeting. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Craig. And thank you, Sean, for your work on that committee. We awarded, I believe, 8 teachers and $3,400. And it was just great projects. Thank you, everyone. Any feedback on that presentation?
Thank you, Raymond. It was very, very nicely done. Very nicely. Thank you for the organization of it. It was very, very nicely done.
Yes, that works out turning it over to a master of ceremonies and letting things and running this Zoom thing in the background works very nicely for me. So thank you so much, Marianne. Mike.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was very well received. A good duration. I don't feel like it dragged on too long. Kind of, introductions. Everybody got to say a little piece. Got to hear about what the teachers were going to use the money for, and then just kind of wrapped it up. So I thought it was very similar to last year. We followed the same format, and I thought it was great. And the teachers and district representatives really seemed to enjoy that.
I agree. Okay, so moving on. By the way, before I forget this, we had the Marine Corps dinner in November, and we raised $13,000 for the Making Spirits Bright project. I want to recognize that Tony was one of our major contributors. He contributed $500 to the cause. And so, Tony, even though you're not classified as a Rotarian, we consider you as such for 1 year. That's what that purchased you. So you're a Rotarian in our heart for a year, and thank you so much for making that a success.
Thanks for the opportunity to feel so good about doing something, even though it wasn't a super huge deal. To be a part of that is super huge to me. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I hope that next year we'll see you at the dinner itself. Hey, the next thing we come up is the food drive. Most people do not know that 22,000 military families, active duty military families, can currently receive food assistance through the federal government, through SNAP and state programs. 213,000 reservist and National Guard families and 1.2 million veterans suffer from food insecurity. And we're going to do our part out at 29 Palms. Our goal is 4 tons. And we've currently got about a ton stored at the lodge and got another ton we're going to pick up this week. So Saturday is the day, 9 to 3. Bring food, bring yourselves to be there, and we will take that on February. We've already received over $3,300 in cash donations for the project, so we'll be writing a check to the Armed Services YMCA out at 29 Palms to facilitate what they have going on. And I'll tell you, we picked up a pallet of baby food, and it said plum baby food on it, and I have no idea what this is, organic plum. So I called the base. That's their favorite, apparently. They have 10 baby showers scheduled on base in March, 25 scheduled in April, and they're beginning to calendar their May. So our military personnel are very busy. And so tomorrow, yes, thank you, Marianne. We're going out tomorrow, and we've got and I just called him and said, hey, I got somebody who has half a truck load of infant and 1 to 1 year old diapers. Can you use them? And that's when I got these facts and figures that indeed they can. So we got all kinds of stuff coming in. 9 to 3 this weekend. Any questions on the food drive?
Cool. Do you want people to bring in some of those supplies as well, or just food?
Anything that's on that list that we put out on the flyer. So yes, so any of those supplies or food would be great. And some people are thinking about going out to Costco and making purchases. If you're a Rotarian, you're thinking about doing that. Why don't you wait to go to Costco on Sunday before the football game? Because we'll know we may collect a whole bunch of one thing. If we get a whole bunch of canned corn, then maybe you want to go to Costco and buy green beans. That's what I'm thinking is you wait till Sunday. Good question. We have a project that we'll talk about with Laverne. Rotary is on board, and we'll talk about that. That is to rebuild a fence at a preschool, and it is a preschool that is on a church property that is in the LA County strip between San Dimas and Laverne. And so we'll be working with them at the board meeting. We'll talk about that. After speaking with everybody, I went forward with Habitat for Humanity and their A Brush with Kindness program. So Habitat Humanity will insure us. They will run all the money. They will arrange any heavy construction. And I put them in contact with Anna Garcia at the city. So now they're working with code compliance to find a senior, a veteran, or a disabled person who has a code compliance issue in the city. Habitat Humanity will help us fund the construction part, and then we'll go in with our funding and our labor to do like the painting and the cleanup. And that's probably 3 or 4 months out, but it's a really good connections that we've made. Next, coming up, the 2026 committee will be meeting on February 23rd. That is the committee that is looking at planning, organizing, and fundraising for the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So that brings us to the calendar, and for some reason, Tony, I'm getting systems low warning thing here, so I'm not going to bring the calendar up because apparently I'm overtaxing my little laptop here. So we won't have the calendar today. Four-way test. Hey, Mike, it's on your desk behind you, isn't it?
It always is. Yes.
Hold it up and go and just read it to us. The four-way test, the Rotarian ethical test.
Sure. Is that coming in mirrored, or is that correct?
It is actually correct, but it's unreadable because it's so small. But there you go.
It's fine.
All right. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So the four-way test was developed by a handful of Rotarians a very long time ago, coming up with a kind of a code of ethics for everything that we think, say, and do. And that four-way test is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? We look at this sort of as a four-way stop, has to pass all 4 of those tests. And if it does, then you can be assured that you're acting in an ethical and appropriate manner. And that is today's four-way test.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Mike. Anything anyone have to say before we go? The floor is open.
I have one question. Did we ever get any more information on that, the teachers mini grant that they wanted to do the sandbox?
They did not, and that's why I phrased my response that way. The teachers, Extran School has a sandbox for the 5-year-olds, the kindergartens, and they got a grant for enough sand to fill half of it. Okay. What I said to her was, go get a price on the sand, and then I will write a grant for Home Depot to see if we can get the other half of the sand. So they've got to follow up first, so we can fill the sandbox. And $500 may have bought enough sand and they don't need us, but they didn't think it would. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, Raymond, I did just email the one person that you emailed me earlier about who hasn't received the check, and just requested if she doesn't receive it by Friday to email me directly her home address, and I will send it there instead of to the school.
Awesome. Thank you so much for following through on that, Steve. And I went out to each of the schools and delivered those certificates on Monday morning. And I gave them to the principals, but those were so nice from the state. They look great. It was a nice little capstone. Anything else?
Quick comment. If we work on this fence build with the Laverne Rotary, I think we should section it off. So we're building the San Dimas side and they're building the Laverne side, and then we should race to see who completes their side.
The Laverne Rotary can be somewhat territorial, but you know what it's been for me, Mike? It's been a skill I do not have is diplomacy, and I've really had to fine tune that to get any of those projects forward. Do you remember the welcome back signs that we did where we worked with the Laverne Rotary? Yeah. So They're good people, but they got their territory. So
I have a hard time believing you don't have diplomatic ability, Raymond. Shocking to me.
you know, Clint Eastwood said it, man. A good man knows his limitations. All right.
Raymond, you're one of the most diplomatic people I know.
Oh.
You need to get out more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where do you live? All right, everybody. Brandon Moon, thank you so much for coming by. You are a future Rotarian, and shoot me an email, and I will shoot you a membership statement form. We'll get that finalized. Justin, I'm glad that you were here, and good to see you back. Justin is a commercial real estate, as I recall. Commercial real estate. Yeah, there he is. He's unmuting himself. Justin, introduce yourself.
Hey, I was going to do that earlier, and to Tony's point, I got no training on Zoom, so I couldn't even get it unmuted in time. But thanks for having us again, Tony. Good job on the presentation. I like to hear that kind of stuff in layman's terms, because so often when this stuff comes up, I just go, yeah, I don't speak computer. And I call the IT guy, and in 30 seconds, I see my cursor moving on my computer, and I'm back in business. But good to see everybody.
Yeah, and thank you, Justin. Quick shout out. Thank you so much he was the selling agent on the building that we just purchased, and he was world class and just a true pro to work with. So thanks for partnering us or with us on that, Justin, making such a difficult process so easy.
Appreciate it. It was an interesting one, not because of Tony, but a whole bunch of other factors. So he had a lot of patience in that transaction, but I appreciate it, Tony.
And Justin, who do you work for?
Sorry, what was that?
Who do you work for, brother?
I work for me, but I work for Lee and Associates.
Lee and Associates, and you're a real estate broker, commercial real estate, correct?
Yes.
Just trying to give you a little plug there. And lastly, our Rotarian who joined us a few minutes after the thing is Craig. Craig, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Craig Dung. I'm a dentist. That's why I'm wearing all this stuff. And during the meetings, I have patients sometimes, so that's why I keep it on, because I might have to leave. But past president, I think I'm 7-year member.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you at the board meeting.
Not on Saturday?
Well, okay, I'll see you on Saturday. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.